Welcome everyone to Kellenberg Robotics coding video 4. Let's get right into last month's assignment, coding assignment number 3. So number 1, what is a function and how does it organize your code? A function is a block of code which is used to perform a particular task. Instead of repeating lines of code, defining a function and calling the function when necessary shortens the amount of lines in your code overall. Number 2. Write a code that adds two integers together using a function declaration. Where does the function declaration need to go so there will not be a compilation error? The example code I have here is a sum function. Using namespace std, integer sum in parentheses int is the function declaration. It needs to come before. The int sum declaration function can act even as a global function because it does come before your main, and it can be read in multiple functions. My two numbers I'm adding together are 50 and 60, and the result would be int num3, which would turn out to be 110. Number 3. What are the two types of functions? Built-in and user-defined functions. Number 5. What integer does the array index start with? This is important to remember when you are asking for the list. The array index starts with integer 0, 6. Declare an array with 6 integers in the shortest way possible. Now write the code to access the third integer in your array. My integer array goes between numbers 1 and 6, and remember that if you want the third integer, you want to put the number 2. So in your integer main function, you will repeat the integer array, and you will see out the array integer 2 to get the third integer of your array. Number 8. Which function correctly captures the user's input string? What is the drawback of that method? The sin.get function captures the user's input string, and the size of the character array is fixed, which means the size of the string created through it is fixed in size and more memory cannot be allocated to it during runtime. Number 9. Instead of using a string character, what can you use instead to hold a string variable? String objects, such as string with the object labeled string. We will be talking more about string objects in next month's assignment, tonight's reading, and you will see how objects interact in classes and functions. In today's video, I want to actually create our own functions that will help us code how we want our robots to interact, maybe inside of the user control function. So if you watched last month's video, we went over different presets and functions given in the example found in file up here, and then you look at open examples. We went over detecting objects and distance sensing. In today's video, we're going to be utilizing what we know from the presets and adding it to our own codes so we can use it perhaps in our own functions. I am using the hasBlue callback function defined in detecting objects example that we saw. And what I did was I added in a vision sensor. So by doing that, you go in, add a device vision. I labeled it vision 5 and it goes into port 5, just like in the example. Then all you have to do is copy over the function text and it should do exactly as it did in the preset. One thing I did add was I set a global variable, and you will know what that is in tonight's reading up here. You set any type of name to that variable. I called it blue and I set it to true. And while it is true, I created my own function down here. In order to create a function, the word void needs to be the keyword before your name of your function, so function name. And then your function also needs to end into parentheses. If it takes an argument, the argument would go inside of those parentheses. So if I was detecting an object, it would be detection obj, or however you want to call it, and that will be an argument that it looks for. But in this sense, we are not having any arguments. The global variable is going to be false if there is no blue object detected. If there is an object detected, it will remain true, because blue is defined as true up at the top of our code. I set a while statement. While the controller up button is pressed, only if you press that up button, it will check whether the object is blue in your vision sensor, and that goes back to this function. And if it is true, I just set a very simple code to happen. All motors will spin forward for 360 degrees. If blue is false, it will continue detecting. It will just continue going back to blue, has blue callback, and it will keep wondering whether it has found a blue object. So this is a continuous while statement as long as you are pressing the up button. And in order to implement this into your user control code, you put it right at the bottom here. You just use the function name. The final thing I want to show you is how to configure a vision sensor. I do not have a vision sensor at my house right now, so I cannot show you in terms of getting the accurate colors, but you basically name what you want to see. So I just have blue box. That is the example that they used in the preset. When it is connected, you use the set and you highlight the area that you want to find on, let's say, a blue cube. You'll highlight whatever it is, and then you'll say set to that. And on the code side, it will give you the code number, and you can then enter a code. X that out, and it saves, and click done, and that's how you set up a vision sensor. If you have any questions, of course, you can figure out solutions on Vex forums. That's how I figured out how to use the vision sensor myself. In next month's video, it will be the last video, and I will be going over what you can use coding for in the real world, and I will also be going over the final questions for the assignment. I also made a video game for my computer science class using Python code, which is different from C++. And I will also be going over the importance of knowing different codes and what each code is used for. So on that note, enjoy the rest of the month, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.